Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reawaken Your Brilliance. Reawaken Your Brilliance. We're so thrilled to have you here. Tonight's message from the universe, from God, is going to be to go with the flow. I'm Skyping in from Long Beach, California, and our guest, Phran Gacher, has graciously stepped into my shoes and is sitting in the hot seat tonight. So we're just going to go with the flow and keep our fingers crossed that technology is on our side tonight. So welcome, everyone. Thrilled that you're here. Want to read a brief bio about Phran, and then we're going to learn about hypnosis tonight. Phran Gacher is a minister, certified hypnotherapist, Reiki master teacher, and the originator of River Reiki and Quantum Reiki. As a minister, Phran writes and performs weddings and personal ceremonies for closure of any kind and to celebrate, release, or forgive. In the field of hypnotherapy, she helps people find the spark of love and beauty hiding inside and guides past life regressions. Phran was born in Connecticut and lived most of her life there, moving to North Carolina in 2006. She speaks on many topics, and today she'll delve into the field of hypnosis. Get your questions ready. Welcome, Phran.
Well, thank you, Julie, and I'm very pleased, honored, and glad to be here.
Well, we'd love to have you, and I just want to let everyone know if you have a question for Phran, feel free to send us on chat, or you can call 919-576-9549 or 919-851-3858. And I know in our last show we had a caller from Colorado who kept trying to get through, and that was a technical issue there, I think, on their phone. So please Skype into Computers to Know or give Phran a call or write it down in chat for any questions you have. So Phran, let's just get started. First, tell me about hypnosis.
Well, okay. Do we have like 14 days that I could tell you about hypnosis? The easiest way to explain hypnosis, I think, hypnosis is a trance state. So many people say, well, I don't know if I could be hypnotized. Mm-hmm. You are in a trance state most of the day, every day. You're driving down the road, you intend to go home, but you wanted to stop at the store first, or you wanted to stop at the cleaners. All of a sudden, you're pulling into your driveway. What happened? Or you're driving down the road, 95 or 40 or one of the major highways, and you go right past your exit. You don't even know where you are on the road. Did I pass this already? Mm-hmm. Your eyes were open. You were totally in control of your car. You were in a trance state. You're sitting in front of the TV, or you're in a movie theater. You're all engrossed in the movie. You're laughing, you're crying, whatever. You are so engrossed in that movie. There's no one on the screen, by the way. It's a play of lights, number one. You're engrossed in this, and someone comes in behind you. Say you're at home watching TV, because in the movie theater that wouldn't happen too often. And you're startled. You didn't know anyone was there, and they were banging the door. You're in a trance state. So often we put ourselves in a trance state, in a hypnotic trance state, and that is the second part of it. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I cannot hypnotize you or anyone else.
So you're not going to make me cluck like a chicken. You're not going to make me reveal my deepest, darkest secrets.
I never said that.
That's a big misconception out there, that people are like, right. I mean, I remember when I was in college just a few years ago, and that's a little bit of humor for people who know me. But, you had this guy come up on stage, and he made people do funny, crazy things. So if I'm understanding you correctly, they were okay to do that. If they weren't okay with it, then it wouldn't have happened.
If they weren't okay with it, they would not have gone up on the stage in the first place. Stage hypnosis is one step a little bit different. The people that take part in that have accepted the suggestion by stepping up there. They are part of the entertainment, and they want to entertain. In fact, I've done that myself. I've done shows, and I've been in shows. And police, I was on top of the chair. I was underneath. I was crawling on my belly. It was a shootout at OK Corral. And, the next question would probably be, well, what does it feel like? It feels like you really want to do that. Come on. You really want to crawl in a long skirt underneath the chair on a dirty stage? I don't think so. And then there was a post-hypnotic suggestion given to me, and I found myself sitting in someone's lap in the audience, kissing the top of this bald head. I really wanted to do that? I don't think so. but you feel like you want to do it. You go along with the suggestion.
Okay, fantastic. And
that's only show hypnosis.
Julie, let me just say something here. Can you turn down your speakers a little bit, or if the speaker is close to the mic, put it behind the webcam? Where is the speaker? Is it in the computer?
It's in the computer.
Yeah, that are you hearing it pretty loud?
How's this?
It's not you talking. It's when you talk. When Phran talks, we can hear it coming back, kinda, and that's.
Well, I've moved down the speakers. How does that sound?
No, it's not you. It's
me. It's me. It's all about me. Now, is there feedback now?
I'll let you know. I mean, if you lowered the speaker a little bit, that should help. So keep going.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Phran. Go ahead. So as you mentioned earlier, anyone can be hypnotized, because I think that that's another big misconception I've heard from people. They're like, oh, sorry, doesn't matter who it is. It can't happen to me.
Oh, that's very true as well. Because if someone decides, like I said, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. If you decide you cannot be hypnotized, you cannot be hypnotized. If you decide you can be, you can be. This could be within 5 minutes. I don't like that hypnotist. I'm not going under. No. And it won't happen. Or you could pop out of it. It's all your choice.
I think that's a really good point, because I've worked with you and have done hypnosis. And prior to working with you, I tried 2 other people and it just didn't happen. And one, I have to tell you, it was her voice. I just couldn't. I was like, her voice annoys me. And, and that's what I focused on. Oh, this annoying voice and da-da-da-da-da. And then my mind went down that path instead of being able to relax and get hypnotized. So, Phran, how did you come about? You do some really interesting things that we'll get into later, especially the river Reiki, which I think is really great that you combine with hypnosis. But how did you come into doing hypnosis, doing the ceremonies? How did you get coming into that?
Actually, it was step by step. It's what can I do next? Most of my life, I was a hairdresser. And hairdressing was only a small part of it. You're standing behind the chair. You have your hands on a person. You're touching them. You have to touch them because the hair that I'm working on is on their head. I'm touching their head, their scalp, their shoulders. And they feel so comfortable. They relax. And I'm hearing all of these stories. And, oh, my gosh, you wouldn't tell a priest or a doctor what you're telling me. You know what? So I thought, whoa, I should learn how to change hats and be a counselor or a therapist or something, because I'm doing it anyway. I'm not getting paid for it. So when an opportunity came up, then I would do it because I've already thought about it, which is the way I live most of my life. I have a gonna-do list.
Because one of the things with this show that's very important to me is when we had a couple people who were chatting on the first show about kind of were stuck in their lives. And so my hope and my goal is for people to find the keys that are going to work for them to help them live their best life possible. And I think that it's really wonderful. You're a great example. You were a hairdresser, and then you moved into a completely different field that was somewhat related, as you just explained, but you're living your truth. You're in your brilliance. You're doing what I believe you were meant to do.
I would like to talk on that for just a moment for anyone listening that feels like they're stuck. It's like, what? I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I can do. Where am I going to go from here? What do I want to do? What comes easy to you? What comes easy to you is your gift. People don't see it as their gift, as their talent, because, oh, this is so easy. Anybody could do this. No, they can't. This is your gift. Oh, yeah, but anybody could ride a bike. Anybody could write a poem. Anybody could sing a song. No, have you heard me sing? In the shower, I'm pretty good. Or in the car with the windows rolled up. But what you can do easy is your talent. It's not easy for everybody. It's easy for you. Go after that.
That's fantastic. That's a great point for sharing that. So let's get back to hypnosis. Take me through it. If someone were to come and see you to get hypnotized, what's the process?
First, I want to know how they think, how they feel, What do they want, and do they want it? I'll give you an example of that. Someone comes to me and they want to stop smoking. Do you want to stop smoking? Well, my wife said I have to stop. My kids want me to stop. My doctor said it's not good for me. I have to stop. Not going to work. Do you want to stop? Or I want to gain weight, or I want to lose weight. Well, is it for you? If it's not for you, it's not going to work. Well, I really should exercise more. Hypnotize me so I want to exercise. Not going to work. What do you want for you? Because otherwise you're just going to block it. If you really don't want it, you really don't want it. I'm not going to make you want it. I can help you get there. I can help you get rid of blocks. I can help you reach your goals, but they have to be your goals. I'm not going to give you my goals. You're not going to take anyone else's goals.
I think that's a fantastic point, because I think a lot of times sometimes people make a mistake. Okay, Phran, I'm going to go to you, get hypnotized. It's going to solve all my problems. It's very important for you to say, hey, if this is someone else trying to motivate you, that it's very important. I think it's great to know that you can help them work through those blocks, but it's very important that this is something that they want to do.
It has to be. Otherwise, you're going to block it. You don't really want it. And if you don't really want it, why do you want what someone else wants for you? Want what you want for you. That's huge right now too. People are opening up to what do they really want. Most of my life, I never knew. I was super mom, super club person, super wife. I was super dress designer. I was super everything. I designed my own clothes. I don't even sew anymore. I discovered I was doing that because my mother did, and because I was supposed to. I should sew. I should do this. I don't should on myself anymore.
That's fantastic. So take us back again to the process of hypnosis.
Okay.
So you have a discussion, see what the person is feeling, making sure that that they want to do it. Now that if you establish, okay, this is their goal, they're motivated, what would you do next?
I would put them in a very relaxed state and take them through the process. I'll give you an example of one woman that I helped. And this was really a one-shot deal. I like doing them too. She was a amateur dancer. She loved dancing. And she was so good at dancing. This is ballroom dancing with a partner. She loved dancing so much and was so good at it that in the next competition coming up, they were going to put her in with the pros because she was better than the rest of the amateurs. Wow. Now she was scared silly. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get there. I'm going to forget everything. I'm going to make a fool of myself. I'm going to fall on my face. So what I did was I put her first into a relaxed state. And when you're in a very relaxed state, your mind is open, your body is relaxed. Your organs work better when you're relaxed, by the way. And then I just went in and gave her back what she told me. Knowing about dance and knowing about muscle memory, I simply told her that she was going to have a good time. She was going to totally enjoy herself. She would remember everything. And her once she heard the music, her muscles would take over. She did not have to think. When we start thinking about something, we trip ourselves up. If you just let it go. Can you imagine a pianist sitting down, Liberace, if you even have ever heard of him, for heaven's sake. When he sat down at the piano to play, I am sure he did not say, okay, C, D, A, F, hit the sharp, hit the flat. No, his hands just flew across the keys. A guitarist, any musician, they don't think about what they're doing. So when you get on the dance floor, I told her her muscles would remember what they were going to do. She was going to have a good time and enjoy herself. That is exactly what happened. She called me the next day and she said, I have to tell you, it was such fun. My husband was there watching. Her husband wasn't her partner. Her husband was there watching at the competition, and he said, that is the first time I've seen you smiling through the whole dance. You looked like you were having such a good time. And I'm thinking, that's what I told her she'd be doing. And she
That's,
did.
that's fantastic. And what other things could people, I know because I've been to your website, for instance, you mentioned quitting smoking and weight loss. I mean, I think having a great time in her dancing competition and relax is really wonderful. But there are a lot of other things that hypnosis can help people with. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, okay, let me be very truthful here. I really don't care for doing long time things like smoking and weight loss and all of that. I like helping people with those little blocks that they just can't get around, those stumbling, little or big, stumbling blocks, like this dance thing, or getting along with relatives, or clearing something out in your life, or speaking on stage, or doing a performance, something like that. I love helping people go that one extra bit that they just simply can't do. It's right there. It's right in the frontal lobe. They just can't reach it. That's where I love doing those things. Let me help you go that one more step.
Hey, Phran, we have a question. I think that's great. I really, because what I love about that is that's kind of like that next step. That's going a little deeper, instead of just kind of doing the surface, going deeper to help solve the problem. We have from Anonymous, we'll just call them 6231. Isn't hypnosis a form of guided meditation? Great question.
I would call them first cousins.
Okay.
Yes, because a meditation is a trance state. Hypnosis is a trance state. In a meditation, the idea really is to not think, to get your mind off of, to give yourself a break from thinking. So it could be a guided meditation so that you're guided to think about this as opposed to thinking your own negative garbage thoughts. In hypnosis, I'm going down into your subconscious to change the programming. That's where the difference is. You're not looking to change anything in a meditation usually. Well, you want to be relaxed. But in hypnosis, the programming is in your subconscious, and that's where I could reach into and change the program. If you wanted to do a graph on your computer and you did not have the computer program in there to do a graph, you could bang away on that keyboard all day long. You're not going to get a graph. So I put the graph program into the computer of the brain, and then you could do your graph. I changed the software.
Fantastic. That was a great question. Again, please, folks, at any point, you can chat a question in like we just had, or you can call 919-576-9549 or 919-851-3858, or you can Skype in and computers to know. A fantastic question. I really appreciated that. And I do have someone coming up later down the road who will talk about meditation, so we'll be able to learn more, a little bit more about that. So back to the hypnosis. So you talked about how you like to go deeper and help people, and I think that was a great analogy of if you don't have the graphics on your computer, that you're not able to do that. So let's talk about the process a little more. So you've talked to someone, they're ready to do that, and then you get them in a relaxed state. Do you do anything? One of my favorite scenes with hypnosis, did you ever see the movie Dead Again, Phran?
Dead Again.
It's, I think, one of the best movies. It was with Kenneth Branagh when he was married to Emma. I don't remember the last name, but we'll talk about this a little bit later too. I want you to talk about past life regression, but they had went through hypnosis, each of the man and the woman. They were able to figure out about their past life regression and how it had related to what was going on in their lives today. But it's kind of, I think, the stereotypical counting down, have you count down, going down a stair. Do you do similar things with your clients?
Yes, I do. But you know what? You had brought up a point before that I did not address, and I want to mention this because it's very, very important. And also because I just said I was going into your subconscious. You meaning you, generic you, not you, Julie, but you, anybody out there, would never, ever do anything that you normally would not do, and you never, ever would release a secret that you did not want released. I could put you down into the deepest level and ask you credit card number, social security number, stuff that you would not say. You wouldn't say. You would do one of two things. You would either pop out, just open your eyes and pop out of it. You wouldn't be in a trance. Or you would go into a natural state of sleep and just not respond. You're not going to do anything that you don't normally want to do, and you're not going to reveal any secrets. On the other hand, you can be put into a hypnosis state so deeply that you can have an operation. They have done brain operations. I saw, not personally, but on a film, a cesarean section done with the woman totally awake and conscious. She was singing.
Wow.
Her hypnotist was right there with her, and she went into a trance state. He was there to make sure that she was secure in that state, guided her into it, and she sang through the whole delivery. As she was being, there was no anesthetic of any kind. Matter of fact, I have done not that big of a deal, but and I do not really love to go to dentists. Let's put that right on the table. But I've already had 3 crowns done, and just recently had a another dental procedure done that exposed nerves. And I don't use any kind of medication of any kind. Gas, drugs, Novocaine, no. And I don't feel any pain. I am not into pain. So I just self-hypnotize myself.
That's pretty incredible. Yeah. You made a comment that made me curious, and I have a question. So you talked about you wouldn't reveal anything you didn't want to. I don't know if, would you use, I guess this may be a 2-part question. One, would you use hypnosis to help someone who'd suffered trauma? And if so, during the process, maybe they weren't aware of something, but could something traumatic happen to them that they had suppressed come up if they were ready to release that?
Yes. I have dealt with traumatic things. You have to be very, very careful with that. Mm-hmm. You can't yank someone out of a hypnotic trance state because, oh my God, they're in a crisis situation. You have to very gently guide them through that. You have to deal with that. Whatever comes up, you have to deal with. And there's several schools of thought on that about healing past traumas. Do you really have to go into that trauma state? Some people believe you do. Some people want to go back in there to get it all cleaned out. Some people don't. So there are several. I'm not going to say you have to do this, you have to do that. Far be it for me to say you have to anything. There are different lines of thought on that, on how to deal with traumas. They can be dealt with, absolutely. They can. That's what this is all about, helping people heal and healing deep issues. So there are times when you do go in there, but you do it very gently, very carefully, and cautiously.
And with great care. We actually have a question from, again, number 6231. Sounds like I'm a prisoner, but we know you're not a prisoner. You want to be here. Their question, what is the most intense issue Phran has, my screen just went a little bit dead, has worked on with hypnosis, and what was the outcome?
One of the most intense traumatic issues was during a past life regression that I know we haven't talked about yet, but it just came up. And I took this woman back to a past lifetime. And as she was walking down this road, going toward the house that she had lived in, the house was in flames, and I believe it was her mother and a sibling, I think it was her brother, that was in the house in flames, and they both perished. And you cannot leave her in that place. So I very carefully dealt with that. I had her rise above the situation to view it as a movie so that she was emotionally released. She could watch it, she could take part in it, but she was not emotionally connected. There are many ways to emotionally disconnect or to desensitize, it's often called. The idea is to desensitize them so that they can remember the incident and it doesn't hurt anymore. The idea is to heal the hurt. So that's what you do, and that was one of the biggest ones that I've done, was to take her out of this. And she also found out who that mother and brother was in that lifetime, how it related to this lifetime, which is one of the purposes of going back to another life.
Okay, and we have another question. What was going on? Oh, this is a fantastic question. What was going on in her present life that seeing her past life helped out? Love that.
There were issues with the people that were represented in that lifetime, dealing with, it was actually her father and her, I think it was her father and her brother. And by going back into that past lifetime, it helped her deal with, there was a very difficult situation between her and her father. And by knowing what happened in that lifetime, it helped her deal with the current lifetime, and the issue was resolved. And also to treat her brother differently, which she did.
That's great. You've talked a little bit, and this brings up another question that perhaps you can, I think is important for people. Everyone that I've had on the show so far, well, only 2 of you, but the majority of people I have worked with personally and professionally, or if I haven't, I know my 50 best friends have. And so it's very important, because I know you're fantastic at what you do, and you also have a lot of integrity. So it's very important for me to bring these kinds of people on Reawaken Your Brilliance. But I want you to talk a second, because you're a certified hypnotist, and I think that that's very important, that people know, hey, I've been trained in this. And sometimes, people, maybe that's where problems or issues have arisen. They go to someone who perhaps hasn't had training. And in the example that you just used, if someone didn't have training, they could potentially cause harm to someone. So how did you get trained to do this?
I belong to an organization called the National Guild of Hypnotists, the NGH. It is, now there are several organizations around the country and around the world. NGH is one of the biggest. I highly recommend them. Anyone connected with them that's a hypnotist, they call themselves hypnotist, hypnotherapist. They don't use the therapist part too much anymore. Consulting hypnotist is a big word. They are so huge on constantly retraining, and you have to keep your credentials up, and you have to get retraining every year. They hold a huge convention. Matter of fact, it's in a couple of days. It's coming up this weekend, matter of fact, I think, in New Hampshire. I'm not able to go this year, but they have an enormous amount of programs going on. It's a 3-day convention. They have classes before it, classes after it, classes during it, workshops galore, and anyone connected with that, I would trust, basically. If I didn't know them, I would at least give them a shot.
Right.
So
no, that's fantastic. And we have another question. Nice
Julie,
too. Yes.
Just a second. Another technical thing.
Okay.
Do you see right under the R in Phran's last name, there's a speaker? Are you're looking on the web, right? You're looking at the actual broadcast?
Well, I'm not looking at the broadcast. I'm looking at the chat. I have it closed down so I can read people's questions.
Okay. How are you looking at the chat without looking at yours and her pictures?
I'm not looking at anyone's pictures.
But they are there, right?
Nope. I just see it has computers to know with a little question mark.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm not. So hopefully
okay.
It's looking okay. That's why we're going with the
Okay,
flow.
that's fine. Then keep going. Then keep going with the question now.
Okay. I can see in Phran's eyes her empathy and spirit. How does Phran deal with the emotional issues that arise with her clients so it doesn't affect her? Again, fantastic question, 6231. A helper people need to know the best self-help technique. What works for Phran?
Whew. Back up there and give me them. It sounded like a whole bunch of questions at one time.
Okay, so let's do the first one. How does Phran deal with the emotional issues that arise with her client so it doesn't affect her?
That's an excellent question. Okay. In the first place, it's not me. I'm very empathic, and I feel what other people are feeling. But even when I'm feeling it, I know it's not me. I'm feeling what they're feeling, and I could separate the two. So I don't take it on. It's not personal. It's not me. I could feel them. I know what they're going through. I know about what it feels like. No one knows exactly what you're going through, but I have a good idea of what it feels like. So I can help them through it that way. And again, for instance, to sidestep that, but answer the same question, when I'm doing Reiki on someone, when I'm doing an energy exchange, I can physically feel what is going on in their body. Sometimes it even causes me to cry or to shake or to feel this discomfort. And I can allow that because it's not me. At the end of the session, I disconnect. What's mine is mine, what theirs is theirs, and I don't carry it. I can feel it, I can appreciate it, I can work with it, but I don't keep it. I release it.
That's fantastic. This will kind of go into the next question. She says, a helper of people needs to know the best self-help techniques. What works for Phran?
Number one, don't take it personal. As I just explained, when I work with someone, it's not me. I can feel what they're feeling. So, and then you let it go. You don't follow someone around after you've helped them and say, are you okay now? Are you okay now? Are you okay now? Now you're being a pest. You give them what they asked for and you release it. You let it go. Very, very important. Otherwise, I'm going to be carrying all this stuff around. I'm going to have, you know how you carry a little 5-pound bag of poop everybody has, that your baggage. Well, is it going to be 5 pounds or is it going to be a truckload? I don't need a truckload. That's carrying other people's stuff. Why would I want to do that? Then I'm not clear to help the next person. So let it go. Release it. Feel it, release it, let it go. Do what you can, let it go.
But is there a certain, say, you do an energy technique or meditate, or can you elaborate on that? If you can share that.
I meditate all of the time. I cannot start a day without meditating. Meditating is right up there with coffee and a shower. Or food. I mean, I don't go without food. I like food. I mean, I could fast, but meditating I used to meditate because I had to. Now I meditate because I absolutely desire to. I want to. And for me, it's almost like a need. I must do that. It keeps me level. It keeps me sane. It keeps me feeling connected with all that is. I could go into a meditative state give me 2 seconds. I could drop into one right now. I've done it so often and so frequently that anytime when I'm waiting at a traffic light, most people don't like to wait. Okay, use your wait time. Go into a state of meditation. I call it a mini med. So I do mini meds all the time. Red light, red is the color of passion. Passion is love. I see a red light. That means love. I go into a meditative state. My eyes are open, but my body is calm and I feel connected to the Creator, to everyone, to all that is. And that's what keeps me going along.
That's fantastic. And I just we have a second here, remind people you can chat your question in or call 919-576-9549 or 919-851-3858 or Skype in computers to know. Is there a quick, now if you're listening on the phone, I don't want you to do any of this, but Phran, is there a quick little exercise or demonstration that you could show us for hypnosis that might help people out? I don't know if we can do that over Skype or...
Yes. Something. Now, one of the things that when you're tense and you're going into an anxiety attack or a panic attack, the one thing you stop doing is breathing. And what happens is, this is physiological. This will help out anybody. And you could do it at any time. You could do it driving your car. Anytime that you get really, really upset and you go into a very tense emotional state. If you stay in this tense state, you're going to, well, we all know what stress and tension does. Just about every disease is related to that. And so what happens is you stop breathing. you might take a deep breath and you go, then you stop breathing. Same thing. So what I tell people is when you stop breathing, when you hold your breath, there is no oxygen getting into your lungs. There is no oxygen going to your heart. Your heart, this is all in a nanosecond. Your heart sends a message to your brain that says, hey, I need help. I'm not getting any oxygen. You better do something, and you better do something fast. So your brain sends a message to your adrenals, and a shot of adrenaline goes to your heart to make sure that it keeps going. This is so that if you had to fight or run, the old fight or flee thing, if you had to fight or run, you would be able to have the energy you needed in order to do that. What happens is if you don't fight or you don't run, you're now stuck with that adrenaline. It keeps going and building. Your system shuts down. Everything shuts down because it has this excess adrenaline because you have stopped breathing. And now you go into a panic state. And now you can't breathe and you're hyperventilating. And then you pass out or whatever else you're going to do. If you do the opposite and you take, I first say exhale, 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 and a little bit more. Then you take in a really deep breath. And you take in a deep breath so that your lungs are totally filled. Usually we just breathe on the top part of our lungs. You take in a breath so deep that the bottom and sides of your lungs are filled. This now presses down on your diaphragm. This sends a totally different message to your brain, and your brain emits endorphins. Endorphins will override any kind of pain, any kind of anxiety, any kind of anything, and you feel good just by deep breathing. So if you do like 3, 4, 5 deep, slow, not that is not what I'm talking about. Slow deep breaths, breathing in, let your stomach come out. You could feel your stomach come out, pressing down on your diaphragm. Slowly let that exhale, slowly inhale, slowly exhale, and think about your breathing so you're doing it properly. For one thing, you're thinking about your breathing. You're not thinking about the issue. Right there, you've broken the stress cycle. Number 2, you are giving oxygen to your body, so it's not going to go into a panic state. You cannot go into an anxiety attack, and you're sending your body endorphins, and you're going to feel good. Right there. Mini-med.
And something easy to remember, even if they can't remember all of that. Okay, stop, breathe.
Yes.
That's something that's very easy to remember. That's fantastic.
And count to 5 while you're doing it. So you're breathing in, you're breathing out, and you're remembering to count. I should say count to 10 because that's even better. And not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not counting slowly to 10. Do this all slowly. Slowly in, slowly out. Count to 10 slow. You'll be all set.
That's fantastic. I'm curious. I have a question going back to past life regression. Could someone, perhaps they were dealing something in their present life, again, maybe it's abuse or something that's suppressed. Could a past life come up that maybe wasn't necessarily a real past life, but something that would happen that would allow them to open up and explore an issue that's going on in this life?
So your question is, could it be a past life or could it be not a past life, but something made up?
Yes, but made up in a helpful way. Again, like you talked about, you have the client that you talked about in the burning house and witnessing that and pulling her back. Could your mind make up, and there's no judgment on that, but could your mind or body, spirit make up something that would allow you to deal with something or to be open to dealing something, say, that perhaps you'd suppressed?
Absolutely. Your body, I believe that there is a higher self. There is more to you than your body. There's more to you than what I'm seeing. I believe in more than 5 senses. The 5 senses, the seeing, hearing, feeling, breathing, tasting, all that kind of stuff. And I'll give you a very good example. Love, hate, jealousy, kindness, gentleness. Those are all things that cannot be measured. They cannot be seen, touched, tasted, felt. Well, felt not with your hand, but you feel that inside. The part of you that has created this is the part of you that is always for your highest good. That part of you is what I deal with, what I reach, that would never harm you. So whether the past life is real, and that's a whole nother topic, or made up, if it comes from your higher self, it's for your good. And it could be used, anything at all could be used for your higher good. Anything, I don't care what it is, can be used for higher good. You just have to twirl it around until you find that right spot.
Fantastic. We have another comment question. We touched on this a little bit, but the comment from 6231, there are a million people claiming they are experts in all areas of body, mind, and spirit, healing and helping, which is so true. How does someone find a reputable hypnotherapist? Now, you talked, if you can again mention where you were certified, but do you have any other pointers that might help people in finding a good hypnotherapist?
Actually, very simple. What do they feel like to you? What resonates when, like you mentioned yourself, you went to 2 hypnotists and they just didn't feel right to you. And it's like, no, I'm not going there. No. And I'm not talking about what you're thinking of them. That's a judgment. I'm talking about the other part of you, that higher self that comes from a sense of love, your intuition. The more you trust your intuition, the stronger it is. And you start with little things and you test it and you do it again and you test it and you see what the results are. So many people have said to me, I knew better than that and I did it anyway. I had a feeling I should do this or I shouldn't do this and I didn't listen. You had the answer right there. You let your brain get in your way. That's one of my favorite sayings. Thinking is hazardous to your mental health. Give up thinking.
You should make that into a T-shirt. I really like that. I think that would be great. We have another comment question here. I have heard many stories where a past life regression brought a person back to a past life that, when re-experienced, caused a new trauma and fear in the current life. That's really interesting. How do you avoid bringing a person back to a life that could cause them more harm than good?
I wouldn't. That's like saying, do you take your lunch or drive a bus? There's no answer to that question. To bring a person back, I take people back to past lives to help them. If I'm going to leave them in a traumatic state or bring on another trauma, I have to work with that person until this trauma issue is resolved. They would not, under any circumstances, leave my premise in a traumatic state. I would have to work with them until it's resolved.
Okay, fantastic.
I've hurt them then. I've hurt them.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that, so I really appreciate that answer. And this brings up another question. There are probably some skeptics out there that are listening, and again, there's no judgment in this. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were really surprised when I said that I had a lot of skepticism. They said, really? And you're doing this show and everything? And I think it's a healthy amount. I always want to question everything, and I just think it's part of who I am. But what would you say to skeptics about hypnotherapy or past life regression? And again, not, everyone's welcome to their opinion, but maybe, I don't want to say convinced, but maybe just to get them to think further on the subject. Do you have anything that you'd say to them?
Good question. I have, and I'm not really too sure how to answer that. I have taken people back to past lives that didn't believe in them, that didn't know if there was any such thing, that thought that when you're dead, you're dead. This is the life that you're living, and there isn't anything else after this. That didn't think they could be hypnotized. I have never not taken someone back. Never not. There was one person, I was going through this whole procedure, and he was almost there. All of a sudden, opened his eyes, sat straight up, because he was laying down. He sat up, and he said, "This isn't working." And I says, "Okay, no problem." As soon as I said, "Okay, no problem," he laid back down, popped into another past life. Funniest thing. Yep.
I think one of the most interesting things and this is how I first got interested in past life regression, was reading, I believe it's Dr. Brian Weiss.
Yes.
Who was the doctor and who didn't believe in this, but when he was doing the hypnotherapy and the patient was able to talk about his son who had died, who had a backwards heart, and talked that it was a fairly rare medical condition, and that's what convinced him. But his whole book I found very fascinating and just very interesting. What type of people, Phran? You talked about the person dancing and the person you help with that. What type of people would benefit from getting hypnotized? Can you give a couple of examples? We might have listeners out there who are like, oh, don't know exactly what I'm looking for, and this might be able to help me out.
Just very, very tall ones. If you're breathing, you have an issue. Hypnosis can help. Unless you decide that it can't, and then it can't. Absolutely. So there is no category, really. If you're breathing, I'm breathing. Obviously, I still have issues. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. That's what I'm here for, experiences. So if you're willing to work with them and you want to try hypnosis, then search around, go to someone. And if you don't like them, leave. You don't have to sit through anything you don't want to sit through. Plus, you're going to be paying them money or bartering or whatever you're doing. And if you don't like it, then you walk out. Thank you very much. No, thank you. And find another one.
I think that's fantastic, Phran. And I think for people out there there might be someone listening who just needed that permission and needed to hear that from someone. We have a wonderful comment about you. That's a great answer because it's the same for any type of treatment, including medical.
Mm-hmm.
So, wonderful compliment to you. So, Phran, I like to ask guests, some of our listeners might be going through a really challenging and difficult time right now, whether it's job, family, or relationship, thinking, you know what, I'm stuck. This is never going to end. What would you say to them?
Everything ends. We live in a world of change. You are not the same person you were when you were 5 years old. You're not the same when you were a teenager or in your 20s. And if you're 50, you're not the same as when you were 40. You're not the same as yesterday. And you're going to be a little bit different tomorrow. Why would you be stuck in the same thing? Well, if you keep... it's like if you keep banging your head against the wall, wondering why your head hurts. Well, stop banging your head. If you want something to change, the first thing you have to do is change your thought. You change your mind. You have to change your mind. And you can change your mind. You can make another choice. That's what most people don't realize. I'm stuck in this. It'll never be any different. I'm stuck in this. If you say you are stuck, then you are in there like molasses in January. You're stuck. You don't have to be. If you say maybe there's a way, then you're right. Maybe there's a way. But you have to give yourself a little bit of room here. You're not any more stuck than you think you're stuck.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fantastic. Would you be willing to share perhaps a personal experience that you had where you went through a difficult situation and what was it, this thinking that helped get you through it, or what helped you get through a really difficult time or situation?
Yes, I was raised very strictly in a very strict religion, and between my religious background and my family background, I didn't have much wiggle room. And in order to be good, you had to do as you were told. So I went from that house into a house with a husband who would tell me what I needed to do. And I figured, well, that was the way it was. And it didn't feel right. And I had now 2 children. I was raising them the way I was raised, and it didn't feel right. There was something wrong, and I didn't like it, and I didn't know what to do about it. I thought this was the way it was. This was the way it had to be. You go from point A to point B to point C, blah, blah, blah. Then I discovered it doesn't have to be like that. I read an excerpt in Reader's Digest about a new book that was coming out back then, and the name of the book was I'm Okay, You're Okay. Now, in the first place, I thought I was stupid. I was told I was stupid all my life. So stupid that I never went to college, and because they didn't think I could go. So what could I do? I had to become a hairdresser. And now I know how smart they are, so that's a whole nother story. So I read this book, and I went, oh my gosh, I understand this. This is transactional analysis, and I can understand this. This is written so simply. Even a moron like me can understand this. I went to the bookstore, a local bookstore, and I said, do you have this book? And they said, no. And I looked the sales clerk in the face, and I said, order it. Here's my name, my phone number. Call me when it comes in. Walked out of the store, never realizing that was my really first assertive deed. I wanted it, get it. Now, call me when it's in. I didn't say now, but, get it, I want it. I devoured this book, but the thing with reading this book, I used it. You could read any kind of book you want to read, and it's not going to do anything if you don't implement it. That was where I started. And I started thinking for myself. Transactional analysis is the theory of any response comes from your parent, child, or adult. Which one are you doing? Which one are you being right now? Is that a childish act or statement? Or are you being the parent and, do it like this? Or are you being the adult and discussing? So I could look at people, and I would listen to my husband, and I would say, he's acting like a child. Am I going to respond from parent or from another child? And I started growing from there. And now it did cost a marriage. It did cost my religion. And it cost my family. Actually, it cost everything. And I needed to go through that in order to become the person I am now.
I love that. Say that one more time. I love that.
I needed to go through all of that, and I would gladly do it again in order to become who I am. It cost my family, it cost my marriage, it cost my church.
But you, just knowing you, you are doing what you're meant to be doing, and you're helping others. And I found with so many people who are healers, they kind of have to go through that fire, whether it's your experience or some other horrific experience. But when they go through that, then they come out on the other end, not only a different person, but able to heal and inspire others.
Now, I'm not saying that's the way to go. I'm saying that's what I did. I'm not saying to not do what your family says, or to leave your spouse, or to give up your religion. You don't have to do any of that. You do what you feel you need to do for you, to help yourself grow, to make yourself whole. What do you need? What I needed was what I needed. It has nothing to do with anybody else. That was my story. You have to find your path, and there are plenty of people to help you. By the way, I was very good friends with my ex-husband up until he passed a couple of years ago. And I got back in the good graces of my family. I can't have any kind of a grudge. And although I'm no longer in that religion, I'm a minister. So, I can't have things hanging over my head that are negative. So all of those things have been repaired. But in order to do that, I had to first step away, become whole, and then heal the whole thing. And it worked. It did. I did. Well, you could.
It's fantastic and inspiring. We have another great question. Can you help hypnotize someone into believing in him or herself more? And do you do phone hypnosis? I would have never thought of that. Phone hypnosis.
Sure. Yes to everything. Because I know for a fact that there is a part of you that believes in yourself. If it didn't exist, you would not be alive. You have that spark in you the same as I have in me. And I find that spark and fan it and let it live. And that's all you need. Can we do it over the phone? Yes. Actually, speakerphone is very good because then you don't have to worry about holding it or dropping it. Just put it on speakerphone and you could hear me. Sure.
Okay.
It would, I think, be optimum if I could work with you in person first and then over the phone. But if that isn't possible, sure, I could work with someone over the phone.
Or possibly even Skype.
Yeah. Well, Skype would be better because then I could see what they're doing. I really need to see what they're doing. Even though your eyes are closed and you're relaxed, you look different, and I could tell what kind of a state you're in.
Might have opened up a whole new industry for you here. Fran, I have one question because it's all about taking action. That's my goal of doing the show. What one step can our listeners do tonight to reawaken their brilliance? What one thing would you suggest?
When you're brushing your teeth tonight and you're getting ready to go to bed, you put the toothbrush down after you're through, rinse your mouth out, and you look in that mirror and say, I love you. You are my best friend, and I'm going to take care of you. I love you. Then go to bed.
Fantastic.
And then say it again in the morning, and say it every single morning. You look in that mirror. You don't look in the mirror and say, oh my God, you have more bags, more sags. You're getting wrinkly. You're getting... You wouldn't listen to that from anybody. Why are you listening to it from you? You look in the mirror and you say, I love you. I love you. You look in your own eyes. Best advice I could give you.
Really wonderful advice. Oh, there's the Queen Mary. I told you that would. I'm here in Long Beach, California. I want you to tell people about your wonderful peace walk that's coming up.
Okay. I was ordained as a minister of peace. And, you got to put your money where your mouth is. So I'm going on this peace walk in Italy in October. This was started by James Twyman. And James Twyman is the one that started the seminary that I belong to, a beloved community. And this is in Italy. We're walking from the mountains of Laverna to Assisi. It's 187 kilometers, 100 and some odd miles, like I said, in October. And at the end of this walk, we will be involved with the World Peace Conference, which is bringing together the major religions of the world to see how they could work together instead of seeing how they're different. We'll be part of that. And I am offering you right now, you who are listening to me, I will carry with me on this 10-day walk your prayer for peace in your world. I'm not talking about another country. I'm not talking about the house down the road. What do you need to feel peaceful, to live in a peaceful, your peaceful world? Send it to me. Go on my website, Perfect Ceremonies, www.perfectceremonies.com. Hey, I'm a minister. I do perfect ceremonies. That's the website, perfectceremonies.com. There's a form on there. Just hit the form, fill me in your peace prayer, and send it to me. Now, if you wanted to make a donation, that would be wonderful too, because I got to pay for this somehow. But primarily, your peace prayer, and I will pray your prayer every day of that 10-day walk. That's what I'm all about, being peaceful. Peaceful is not being dull, by the way. There's nothing dull here. Peaceful is feeling, when you feel peace is freedom. You have the freedom to live your life with love and with joy, and you don't have that tension and that yuck stuff. You're peaceful. When you're peaceful, you're free. So that's what I offer you. Let me help you be free. Give me your peace prayer.
Fantastic. And I think that's a great way to end the show. And again, you can reach Phran at perfectceremonies.com. We want to thank you for listening tonight. Next week, Sue Hannibal will be on. And if you think EFT means electronic fund transfer, you might want to watch because it means something else. Please follow us on Twitter at Reawaken Brilliance. Couldn't fit it in there. Or find us on Facebook at Reawaken Your Brilliance. And we're getting the website up and going, and that will be there sometime soon. Thank you, Phran, so much for being our guest this evening.
My pleasure. Totally.
All right, everyone, make it a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
fun.